A good tip of this is to leave the fish head out of the water for a few seconds. So when the fish take in some air and oxygen, right, they marble. What's up, everyone?
Hey.
Very good evening. Welcome to another episode of the RapShow. My name is Dixon.
My name is Ismail.
Okay, and we're here to talk to you guys about more about the Ajing game. So before we start, we would like to thank Rapala Southeast Asia for inviting us to come and share a bit of tips and tricks on this game of Ajing. So basically what we're covering today in this show, we'll be covering what is Ajing and the species of Ajis, and of course gears and equipment for Ajing.
A bit of technique.
A bit of techniques and a bit of location on where you can play your game of Ajing. So let's start off with what is Ajing. So basically Ajing comes from the term that you are fishing for Japanese horse mackerel. So the Japanese name for this horse mackerel is called Aji. So Aji, so you are catching Aji, so we are doing Ajing. So basically this is what Ajing is all about. This is how it comes about. So there's two main things in Ajing, two types of Ajing we do is land-based Ajing and offshore Ajing.
Yeah, boat Ajing.
Boat Ajing. Okay. Offshore, basically land-based we are playing at a pier, jetty, kelong, or breakwaters, places that we are playing from shore. And boat, we are talking about getting on the boat, playing at some unjams, coral reefs, and maybe some shipwrecks where there's structures for the Ajis to play around. But unfortunately, due to time constraint, we are not able to share with you guys on the offshore. So we'll be sharing mainly on land-based Ajing today. Okay, so
let's talk about the different species. Okay. Now in Japan they have the horse mackerel, which is not actually a mackerel. It's a horse mackerel. It's a type of scat. Now in Singapore we have a few species of scats as well. They're cousins of the horse mackerel. What we have is the yellowtail scat, what you see here on our t-shirts, the Atule mate. We have members of the Elepes family, like the herring scat. The big herring scats can go up to about 70 cm sometimes.
yeah.
Or we have the shrimp scat. We also have the two Salawas, the big eye scat, which is known as Sala crumenophthalmus, and the ox-eye scat, our tuabak, also known as
mata
besar. Also in scientific terms is Sala boobs.
Yes, Sala boobs.
Okay, and also the closest one we have to the Japanese horse mackerel is what we locally call the Selayang, or the round scat. Okay, they're from the Decaturus family. They're long and slender. All right.
And to add on to a bit of Ajing, there is four main elements of Ajing we are talking about. So the main four elements are locations, your gears and equipment, weather, and technique. And this one is divided, there's a formula for it, we call it the 4411 formula. Okay, where locations stand 40%, equipment and gears stand 40%, and 10% on weather and 10% on techniques. And don't get us wrong, we are not the one that comes up with the formula, and these are all from the Japanese expert for these Ajing gurus. This is what we learn from them. So stay tuned for the 40-40-1-1 that we'll be sharing with you too.
Okay.
And next we'll be talking much about equipment. So within equipments, we are talking about the rods, your rails, your line, your jig head, your worms, and your leader. So we'll just start rod. Maybe you can just show them what rod is suitable for this Ajing game.
Okay, right here we have a 6'3" rod. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. Okay, the most important thing when it comes to Ajing is we feel is the action of the rod. It needs to be extra fast. Now, what do we mean by extra fast? If we can just get our friend Dixon to show us what it means. If you take a look at the rod bend, okay, it's not a noodle rod. It bends. It doesn't bend gradually. It's a very fast action rod. Okay, so it can bend a lot more than this. It's very strong, but the action is a lot higher up than it is lower down. As if you compare to like a trout rod, which is what you call a noodle rod, this is a lot faster. Okay, for shore-based, you can use something like this, where it requires more sensitivity. It's only rated up to 3.5 grams, so you can feel a lot when you use this kind of rod. Or if you need to actually get distance, what we have here is the 8'0" rod. It's a very powerful rod. It's rated up to 15 grams. You can cast a lot further and a lot heavier. We use this when it comes to, especially for Turman, when you need distance away from the light to reach those huge lolongs, the big ice cats. We use something like this, right? You can use both of them, but of course we won't use an 8-foot rod on a boat. You will be a clumsy fool.
Yeah.
You know, we're not saying you can't use it, but of course you don't want to break your rod. Okay.
Okay, and we come to reel. There's basically two sizes of reel that we use. Of course, it's a 1000 and a 2000 reel. And we know that basically the main difference of these two reels is the line capacity. Okay, maybe 2000 reel, we can load a higher poundage of line, and a 1000, of course, a lighter poundage of line. And for beginners, normally we will suggest that you use a 2000 reel so that you can load a heavier poundage of line. And if you feel that you want to go one step further, you can use a 1000 line, a 1000 reel with a lighter line. So 1000 is also because it's lighter, and casting whole day you're not as tired. And also that why are we using lighter gauges of line or poundage of line is at times the lorong can be very picky. So the jig head that we use has to be very small. If you're using something too heavy, your jig head will not be able to sink down to the strike zone where the fish are. So sometimes we go down as low as 1.2 pounds of line, of line. So line wise,
generally we do use.
If you can see that we do use double handles on our handle, on our reel. Of course, aesthetic wise, for aesthetic purpose, it's nice, pretty cool. But there is actually use for these double handles. So, because as we are fighting the fish, most of our time we are looking at the line. So you know, moving your rods around here and there, and when you want to come back to it, your tendency of hitting one knot is much higher. And of course, the other reason is wobbling. If you can see here, we have a double handle.
And it's a single handle.
You can see that.
See how much it wobbles?
The difference between a double handle and a single handle.
See how much it wobbles?
So this is one of the reasons why we use, two main reasons that we use a double handle too. Likewise, I mean, we prefer to use polyester line. There's reason to it too. Polyester line, the particular polyester line of brands that we're using is by manufacturer, not by us. The specific gravity of this line is 1.38. What does that mean? It means that it's denser than seawater. So when it's denser than seawater, it actually helps you to sink your jig head to the strike zone easier and faster. So, I mean, people do ask me, Dixon, can I use PE line for Ajing? Of course you can. There's no right or wrong, but it's just that when the PE line is soaked with seawater, it becomes, the density of it is the same as the seawater. So this affects the sink rate of your jig heads, especially when the Ajis are a bit picky on jig heads, right? Of course, you can use a heavier jig head to help to sink your PE line. But when the fish is picky on the jig heads,
compromising on the profile.
You're compromising on the profile of your jig head. But not saying that PE line is not a good line. PE line does give some advantages. Because it doesn't stretch as much as polyester, it's more sensitive. And in some cases, like Ismail, who just came back from Maldives, when we are fishing in waters with many big other predators, right, we want to land the fish as fast as possible. So that one is good for you to bring the fish up.
Well, I can share with you, because I was using the polyester line, okay, and it was taking a little bit longer than 5 minutes to land the fish. So I was getting hit by sharks. I was only getting half a fish. So what I did was I switched over to Rapala Rapism. It's 0.09 PE. It's 4 pounds. Okay, it's perfectly matched with the 80. Gives me a lot of power to bring in the fish less than 5 minutes. Okay, because in Maldives the big ice cat were big and in huge numbers. So it helped me quite a bit. Now the other line that we can actually talk about.
Anyway, this is new from Rapala.
Yep.
They come out with new colors. You guys can check it out in the store.
It's the Rapinova X. Okay, it comes in coastal camo, beautiful, and my personal favorite, the fire camo. Okay, it's quite gorgeous. You can also check it out in the stores. Very, very beautiful.
So next we come to is we are talking about jig heads. So basically jig heads, there's many types of jig heads. I'm not sure you can see from here. Okay, so it ranges from 0.4 grams all the way up to 3.5 grams. Okay, depending on the application, whether is it boat or how picky the RGs are and how fast is the current. So we'll have Ismail to talk to you guys more on the jig heads.
Right, so when we look at jig heads, right, you find that in the market there's many different types of jig heads. Now what we have here is the VMC Coastal X jig head. Okay, it's shaped like more like a bullet. This is to actually give an action. It helps you sink down faster, one thing. And once you start to jig up, it gives you a different type of action. Now, there's no one set of rules. There's no one specific jig head that will get you the fish. It can be different on different days. That's why we recommend for you to get many different types, because one method might not work the next day. It might work the day before. Okay. Now, I'll hand over to Dixon to talk a little bit about the worms.
And for worms, I think many of us experience this. You walk into a tackle shop, then you see like a whole rack of worms, a whole wall of worms, different colors, different shapes and sizes. So what is the best worm? Well, I think there is no best worm. There's no one go-to worms that we use. Okay, so why do everybody comes out with different shape and sizes, of worms? It's also to match the hatch, or in the fly fishing term, they call it matching the hatch. It depends on what the RGs are feeding on that day, and doesn't mean that you use this particular worm today in Labrador Park, tomorrow you got a Salar, and tomorrow you go to Bedok Jetty, you use the same one, you expect to catch the same fish. Fishes in different locations feeds on different things. That's why it's very important to match the hatch. So sometimes you just lean over, take a look and see whether is there any small anchovies or streams or whatever they're feeding on, and we try to match it.
Yeah. So that's very important. Like for example, you see the two different types and colors that we have here. We've got the Gomuku soft plastics. One is a straight tail, the other one's a little bit of a paddle tail. So sometimes they would prefer no action from the tail, you go for the straight tail. Sometimes they might prefer a little bit of wiggle here and there, and you go for this. There's no one set way, you just got to keep casting. That's very, very important. Don't give up, keep casting.
Keep changing your worm, keep changing your jig head. Try all you can, don't give up. Okay.
Once you, what we call crack the code, that's one of the best feelings. Once you crack the code, you can share it with your friends. Do the same thing and everybody will
enjoy the game and start landing fishes.
Yes, exactly.
So we'll talk a bit about leader.
Okay. So for us, we tend to always use fluorocarbon leader. Well, advantages are of course that, be it regardless of whether you're using polyester or whether you're using PE main line, you need some abrasion resistance, okay? Because you are fishing around structure, especially when you're fishing from jetties, the fish are going to try to dive into the structure. You need a bit of buffer zone.
Yeah, buffer zone, something more that can withstand abrasion.
Yeah. So we use, we go by numbers. We use number 1.2.
0.8?
0.8.
1.2.
If you're crazy, you use 0.8.
Yeah.
But you can always, find the nice middle ground. Go for 1.2, which is good because it's thin diameter. The fish are not really able to see, and it still holds up. Now, at night, if you find that the fish are a bit finicky, maybe you can go down a little bit. Okay, and you will notice that there's probably a difference because, like the tuabak, as the name says, a big eyes.
Big eyes.
They have big eyes. They can see everything.
They can see very far.
Yeah. So it's important to choose the correct leader.
So just for some information, 1.2 works out to be about 4.8 pound. 4.8 pound of leader. So normally we will pair it with about 1.4 or 1.6 pound of main line.
You can in fact go to 2.3.
You can still use 2.3, but normally in 2.3 we normally use 2.3 on a 2000 reel, and normally we'll use it on the boat when you're doing offshore. Because when you're offshore, you don't know what you hit.
I hit a tuna the other day.
Yeah, he hit a tuna the other day. he hit a 2 kg remora.
For about 45 minutes.
And they gave up. So why don't you talk about the knots that we use?
Okay, so we've got a couple of knots that we like to use, but one rule of thumb that we always use for ourselves as well is try to tie the knot as soon as possible.
As fast as possible,
because your bite time may be a matter of seconds, and you can see your friends catching fish and you still left tying the knot. So don't have to tie an FG knot, tie a simple knot, something that you know, something that you practice with. Personally, we use
we call it a lefty
crane knot, yeah.
Or you can call it a surgeon's knot, or some of us we call it a pinky knot,
or figure of eight,
double figure or 8 knot, which is very simple. You overlap the 2 lines, put a loop, put your finger in, turn 3 rounds, pull the leader and the tag line together, and apply equal pressure to it. You can wet it. Yeah, it's better to wet it a bit, so that you have a very nice knot in the front. Okay, so because why we don't tie FG knot, also another reason is, since our line is not that strong, we don't actually need a very strong knot. Okay, and also polyester is a bit difficult to wrap around fluorocarbon. Okay, so that is another reason why we use the knots that we mentioned earlier.
You can even use something simple like a blood knot, or for myself, I sometimes tend to use an Albright. You don't have to make it special by going up another round. You can just do 6 rounds, just go up, simple, fast, right? Leave a bit of tag end because it's a good indicator of where we like to keep our knots outside.
Yes,
of the small
outside
guides.
the first guide.
Right? Let's look at the knot that we use for the jig head. Very simple, again, very simple.
Very simple.
I use a hangman knot, as simple as possible. Go in, out, a couple of loops up, or a snell is good.
Snell knot.
Yeah. As simple as you can make it, because at the end of the day, you want to be catching fish and you don't want to waste too much time. You want to keep it within 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah?
Yes. So you got your gear. Where do you go fishing? Ask the local fisherman.
Okay,
where do he normally go fishing?
Well, we can go to any of the jetties, any of the legal jetties, right, that are available in Singapore. Like Bedok Jetty is my favorite, right? We have Marina South Pier. We have Labrador Park when it's open. Lovely water. And we also have St. John Island, Seringat Island that's connected to Lazarus, and Kusu. Right? Now, one thing to look for is clean water. Clean blue water is very crucial. Right? You don't want to have dirty water. You don't want to have a runoff that will spoil the fishing for you.
And because Ajing, they are quite particular about water, the clarity of the water.
And of course the tide as well.
Yeah, and of course the tide. So, you got your gear, you know where to fish, but how are we going to catch them? So we're going to be sharing with you some techniques that we use to catch these mysterious Ajing fish. So a few techniques that we use, maybe like the straight retrieve, when we toss out and retrieve. So when you retrieve, there is a different you can vary between the different of speed, slow or fast, or even moderate. Okay, another way we do it is what we call a twitch and fall. Casting the jig head out, let it sink, twitch it a bit, let it fall, and crank a bit, twitch it again, and let it fall. So another way that we use nowadays too is what we call a plankton drift. Or anyway, we come up with the name ourselves. Plankton drift basically is just casting out and letting it drift along with the current. So this particular one will use a very light jig head, so to mimic the plankton that is floating in the water. So if you were to go to a jetty, like Ismail say, to Bedok Jetty, so where do you fish in Bedok Jetty? Normally, we will fish against the current. Okay, meaning that if you are walking towards the jetty, the water is moving from left to right, we'll go straight to the end, turn left, and we'll face the current. A good indication is looking at the ships. The ships in East Coast itself, where the bow face is where the current is coming. So we want to be facing the same direction as the ship. So what do? We go stand by the jetty where the current is coming in, cast it out. Okay, very important note to take note is to collect back your slack as fast as possible. Okay, this will allow you to do what we call a tension fall. What is a tension fall? So when you having tension and you're falling, this allows you to feel your jig head. And of course, if the fish were to strike, you can react accordingly. You know, when the fish strike. Also, we don't fish alone, we fish our friends, you know, in a row.
So 5 of us.
Yeah. So you cast, you don't collect your slack, your line go over your friend's rod, your rod come over to you. Then one of you hit a fish, you know, then your chubby hook here and there, you know. You lose the fish, maybe you lose the fishing kaki.
Right. Now the other thing why we want to react fast is because the bite time, right? The Ajis are what we call gulpers or inhalers, right? So they inhale and spit it out within a matter of milliseconds.
Yeah, to be exact, it's 0.26 seconds. Yeah. They inhale, if it's not a food, they will spit it out. Yeah. That is why you can see that all jig heads are designed in a way that the hook face up. The hook face up, so when they inhale, they spit out. You hit them on the top of the mouth, which is the hardest part of the mouth. That's another reason why we set our drag to very light, but not no drag. No. A light drag. So it's a very light drag. So because it's good to hit them on the top of the mouth, but sometimes due to currents or striking, you might hit them on the side or at the bottom, which is very soft, and they are very strong fishes. Yeah. So when they start to run, the mouth tear, you lose the fish.
And sometimes when you lose the fish with the jig head in the mouth,
yes,
the whole school
will just follow, run away.
Yeah, because schooling fish, the pelagics, they can go anywhere in the open sea.
And of course, we talk about how we're going to land the fish. So as you know, we are using a very light drag. When you're fighting the fish and this, when we land the fish, reeling it in and lifting it out, it's hard for you to lift the fish because the drag is low. So what we normally do is when we reel it in, we will point our rod downwards. Okay, a good tip of this is to lift the fish head out of the water for a few seconds. So when the fish take in some air and oxygen, right, they marble. You know, so it's easier for you to land them. So what you do is point it down, crank it straight, thumb the spool, one motion up and land the fish. Okay, and if you like to enjoy your catch, as in you eat them, word of advice is don't slam the fish on the floor, especially if you like to take sashimi, you know, because slamming the fish on the floor, the fish will get bruises, and when it get bruised, it will not be as tasty as when it's not bruised up.
Correct. So that's why.
So we normally, after we bring up the fish, we'll hold it by the leader, and from the leader we will use something like we call a grip, and we will grip on to the fish. Okay, the grip that is not just for taking photo and nice. It helps you to remove your jig head easier, and also that because as we talk about there's many fishes, we never know what we will hit. Yeah. You know, sometimes last week Ismail hit a lionfish. You know, if he doesn't have a grip with him, what?
I stun or I lose jig head.
Yeah, and the worms, you know. I personally hit rockfish before, and stonefish, you know, rabbit fish, and a very common species that we always hit,
the queen
fish, you know, the 3 spikes at the back. Yeah. Once it poke you,
what's the saying?
Only your hand not pain. Only your hand not pain.
So if you have something like grip, you know, Rapala makes a pretty handy grip. You can put it in your pocket, or if you have something like with a holster, it's pretty good.
Put a holster.
It's for safety as well, and you can take a photo with it. Right?
So we have more or less come to the end of the introduction of this Ajing game. Quiz time.
Quiz time. Yes.
Yes, and for this show's quiz, we have prizes probably sponsored by Rapala. Okay, 3 sets of this to be won.
For 3 questions.
For 3 questions. Okay. First question. What is the Japanese name for Japanese horse mackerel? Three letters.
Yeah. Easy one.
Easy one.
Number 2. What size of reels do we use generally when we go for Ajing?
Okay. And the third question. How many hair does Ismail have on his arm?
This one you can win my reel and my 2 rods if you can guess.
Oh, okay, jokes aside. Okay. Name. Question number 3. Name one location you can find Ajing in Singapore. Got it? Type in your answer. Send it in. Comment. So, while we wait for the Rapala team to sort out the winners, maybe Ismail, why don't you tell them more? Why do you like to play this game of Ajing?
Right, so the thing about Ajing, right, is that when they bite, right, it's a very subtle bite, but the fight is what gets me excited. It's what I call the electric feel. It's when their tail hits the main line and they create this electricity feeling at the end of the rod tip. And with our light line, it's addictive, man. The feeling is, I chase the feeling every single time. It's very different. Yeah.
Okay, for myself, maybe I'm old and lazy lah. You know?
Yeah, right.
It's so easy to go fishing. You don't have to pull a trolley, carry 2-3 kg of weights, bring live bait. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that surf casting is a lousy game. Surf casting is fun too. All fishing is fun. It's just that it's my problem. I'm lazy. I like to hold my rod and reel in one hand. I take a sling bag and I go fishing. That is basically the lazy me lah. And of course, on good days, you can land 20 to 30 fishes. Fighting them 20-30 fishes, and you don't feel tired at all. So I think that's the main reason that we are playing Ajing.
It's easy, you're not so tired. It's more of a hobby.
Yes.
Back to basics. When you were a kid, catching tilapia with your small rods. So, and the other thing that I like is that, because I use 2-piece rods. I mean, it's not wrong to use 1-piece rods, but I don't have a car. I take public transport wherever I go, right? So
easy.
It's very safe as well.
You go in a train, you are not worried that the train door closed and your rod tip is out there.
Yeah, it's all safely packed in rod wrapped and everything. It's safe. And when you want to travel, that's another thing I like about Ajing. You can go anywhere. If you have a travel rod, even better.
Right.
It's easy to walk along with. And when I fish, most of the time I'm having a fanny pack. It's not so cool, but it does the job. It's on water, guard grip, that's it. The rod and reel, of course.
So we have basically come to the end of the show, but before we say goodbye, we would like to thank Rapala Southeast Asia again for giving us a chance to come here and share some tips with you, and to Fred Go for giving us a chance to come here too, and the team of Rapala. Without you guys, this show will not happen. And if you guys have any more questions, you can DM or PM the both of us on Facebook or Instagram. He is Good Guys Fishing on Instagram, and I'm Big Sonic Q on Instagram. PM us, talk to us, join us, go fishing with us.
We love to meet new people. We love to.
And you see us on in a jetty fishing somewhere, come to us, talk to us. I won't bite. I'm not sure whether he will.
Also, there are many YouTube videos on
Yes.
Check out.
You can check them out. There's some YouTube.
My friend here has a YouTube video.
My channel is vanity one. I don't teach you how to fish. I just show you all.
We'd rather show you personally how to fish. It's one of our pleasures, to show people, to share our beautiful game.
Okay, with that, hope everybody enjoyed the show. So, tight lines, Aji.